and make sure you know. Make sure you know. So I got Richard here. We're just doing a quick, like, I don't know, kind of check in. Richard's one of the only people that I've consistently coached over, or has it been a year?
I think it's been a little bit longer, but
Yeah.
it's been hard to gauge.
Yeah. Rich has been the only person that I've consistently coached and enjoyed coaching. And so I just wanted to do a quick interview with you and I don't know, just kind of chop it up because I like this kind of stuff. So you did one with me when I was in Austin last. So I kind of just modeled some questions out for what you did. But what got you into powerlifting? Because I don't think we've talked about it a couple of times. So I don't remember exactly what was the catalyst? Like
I
what
ha
like did you see something, someone lift something heavy or what?
Well, when I power lifted in high school, which I
Okay.
really, really enjoyed, but
Mhm.
I was told by like it's kind of true, like there was no real scholarship opportunity or anything like that. It was mainly like a club sport in college, and I already wasn't really going to be able to afford college that well. So my main thing was football, and I was really, but my favorite thing about football, I think, was being in the weight room. Even though
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily get the best lifting habits, it created like a really, really good baseline. And then when I kind of lost it and went off the rails with like booze and drugs and stuff, it still kept that like I always remembered and latched on to the feeling that the weight room gave me, the confidence that it gave me,
Yeah.
the euphoria and like the chemical response that it gives me, like I don't know, like it I've always been gravitated towards strength. Like I remember one of the first cool things that I saw that made me want to lift heavy was I saw somebody do like a 315 power clean in a high school football locker room, and there I don't
Yeah.
know, there's like little stuff like that. You're like, I want everybody it'd be cool if everybody gathered around me and appreciated my like my strength feats.
Yeah. Um
That's
talk
what
about
yeah.
talk about your first meet and not high school because high
Yeah,
school is
yeah.
obviously
That's
different. But
way
like
different.
was
Uh,
the first meet the one you did
Big
at
Tech's
Big Tex?
classic. Yeah, it was. I was super super afraid because
Oh,
I knew who you were and I knew who Clay was, but I didn't know what y'all looks like because I wasn't
right.
really messing with Instagram or anything like that. So I was like looking around and kind of trying to size people up, and I had been following you on open powerlifting. So I
Yeah.
already kind of had my eye on you, and I knew that you were probably the main person that I was gonna lose to. But that's why I don't know, like that's where I was old enough to understand that it would be in my best interest to look at local athletes, like watch them perform and try to figure out who I wanted to either gravitate towards in terms of being maybe having them coach me or just going to the same gym as them, integrating myself into that community, which that was like powerlifting was very daunting and very scary when I was more standoffish and I didn't understand how important, for maybe not everybody, but for a lot of these guys, like this is like an important community and people are super, super positive. I was expecting it to be a lot more like cutthroat and intimidating. So that's what I walked into there kind of being
Yeah.
prepared for. But it,
How long did it take for you to jump into your first meet?
I procrastinated for or not procrastinated, but I wanted, probably about 2 years,
Yeah.
but like there was around maybe like a year long plateau where I just kind of stopped making gains because
So I know,
I
right.
wanted to like get to a certain point before I jumped into competition, and the
Yeah.
point that I wanted to get at was getting I just wasn't getting there. So I was like, I'm either going to be that guy that's saying that he's going to compete. One day I'll compete, man. And that's like a tragic, sad, like if there's something that you want to do and you're like not confident in yourself and you're like keeping yourself from doing it, that'll make you, that's not good for your old noggin.
Yeah. I know you probably, I know getting a coach or me, us starting to work together was like beneficial for you to get through the plateau. But do you think that maybe had you have just competed earlier on, it would have changed your trajectory a little bit? Like if you had not waited 2 years, like if you had just like done a meet right away, and maybe your total would have been like lower, but you then would have worked
I
up.
think I needed the plateau and the halting of progress to understand that I didn't have the master key information, that I didn't have the information that I needed. I didn't have the skill in the weight room logistically to get where I needed to be. So I feel like if I would have jumped into competition, I feel like I would have had, I don't know how to describe it. Like I feel like I competed at the perfect time because it was very eye opening, if that makes sense.
Sure. I mean, a lot of people in the industry just push like, you need to just like jump into the meet. And I agree because I think you don't understand the community and you don't understand the sport until you compete.
And the shocking thing that I did not remember from high school because I was spry young man, and that I try to remind every single backseat coach wannabe power lifter that will never ever ever step foot on the platform but want to give power lifters that actually compete critiques, that it's doing lifts in the gym and doing it on the platform under pressure with judges surrounding you and you're not on your like I heard Juji, I watched, do you know who Juji Mufu is? I
Yep.
watched him under his one of his first, he wasn't really prepared for his first powerlifting meet. He was like emotionally breaking down. And they were
Mm.
even like had the, like the announcer was like, "Hey, do a backflip. Hey, it's Juji Mu." But he was like, "This is insane." He was like, "You don't get to lift on your time. If you don't, if you're not ready, you get disqualified and you lose a lift." Especially like learning how to time my raps because I self rap. There's like a whole logistic side to this in terms of especially leading up to the prep and then the meet itself, that is like
Yep.
a game changer. It's not, you can do an SBD day in the gym. It is
Still not the same.
so different. And
Yeah.
that's not even counting like all the nutrition stuff and fighting against the stress and getting what you need in your body and blah blah blah. Like it is a different animal.
Yeah. A lot of people say this sport is a you versus you sport. And you know my feelings on that. Like I
Yeah,
just think
Mister ain't no power lifter till you're at 2K.
hey, listen, but you're also like if I just my opinion, if you're using that as an excuse to not compete against other lifters, like if you're not going to a meet to be the number one, it's like a pretty weak thing. But what do you a weak mindset in my opinion, but what do you think about that? Like do you because obviously you said like you said you were kind of scouting me out.
Yeah.
Uh like so you weren't showing up to lose, like you didn't want to come lose, right?
No, no, but I knew, like, that's also one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to this upcoming regional meet, is that
Because
I,
you think you had a chance.
no, no, I think it's good to go, like, it's Pyrrhic victory isn't the right word, but there was like winning. I wish I would have had more competition when I won biggest squat. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
that's why I wasn't super, super, super upset. I wanted it, but if I would have won best lifter, like I would like to, like there's I want, I don't have a problem with losing, but I also want to win in a super competitive environment.
Yeah.
But I have the brain that, like, when I'm in a super competitive environment, I'm not going to get butt hurt when I lose to the top five, 1 or 5 or 10% that are out there. I can only get better from that. And I think if I
Yeah.
was younger, I would have had a different approach to that. But also with how freaky people are getting and how hyper competitive it is, I think uh there's people that'll be like, if I'm not gonna be number one, I'm not gonna fucking do it. And I think
Yeah.
that's a lame thing for younger guys to do. But you have to have that hunger. Like if you're
Yeah.
just, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you,
It's a double-edged sword.
yeah.
So what is your favorite thing about powerlifting as a sport? Not what it does for you, but as a sport and powerlifting,
Just
like
the I was not, it's the community side. Like
mm,
it's just like being around a bunch of, like, because it's not, there's a not a lot, not a lot of people are going to be able to relate or appreciate you putting yourself in what a lot of normal people consider unnecessary danger to
yeah,
accomplish these things that like people can't imagine. Like you're just not, it's nice to be integrated into a community that appreciates what we're accomplishing, because a lot of us don't, like a lot of people don't take powerlifting seriously or think we're not athletes. Like look at House, look at Jimmy. Tell me Jimmy House is not an athlete. He
yeah,
deadlifts 700, 800 pounds now in straps, and he's a world-class jiu-jitsu athlete. He's got the
pro
acrobatic
wrestler.
skills to do pro
Yeah,
wrestling, which people don't know. Like it's, yeah, it's not, the sports, regardless of how mainstream it gets, it's a pretty, it's niche and it's small. And I don't think uh I don't know, yeah, people aren't gonna, I'm not saying that people need to appreciate you for your strength and show you respect for that stuff, but I think it's hard to find people that will appreciate you for what you're accomplishing, and like I said, in strength sports, because a lot of people just don't care about it.
yeah. So what would you say is your least favorite thing about the sport?
The stress. It's very stressful. That's another reason why I knew I needed a coach, is because the self programming was starting to like break me down mentally.
Yeah,
And when I would self program and then fail, that is like a very special type of not good feeling. That is pain. That is double failure. It's like not only did you fail as as the athlete, as the lifter, but you also failed as the coach and the programmer, and it was just a lot of mental stress on me, in combination of like, this is something that I want to do full time, but I have to work. I have to do, I don't have to, but like I work, I do content creation, I do all this stuff, and it's hard. It's a real puzzle to get everything to not like impact the other in terms of stress wise and get distracted. I've had that happen before, where I
yeah,
lifted purely for content, and that like almost destroyed my body. Like I have to keep these, my aspirations like kind of separated and contained, if that makes sense, because they bleed over.
yeah,
And
hundred
that's a
percent.
little thing, like, don't, lifting for content is dangerous. Do
Yeah,
not do that. You can lift and as a vlog, but if you're like lifting purely to show off and to make content, that's, have fun ending your lifting career for a video that gets 100 views.
yeah, for sure.
Been
Uh,
there. That's almost.
yeah, yeah. What this one's gonna be you gotta be honest, all right? You're on the hot seat. Because everyone always talks about how good getting a coach is and how important it is, blah blah blah. What is your least favorite thing about having a coach?
Letting go of the control and
Yeah,
not being like, I have, that's another thing, like how I want to be in control and have the say in all the things in my life, and that was something that I did not jive with super well when I played competitive sports, that I think also would have been a problem in college if a scholarship was on the line, having friction with coaches.
yeah,
But I, yeah, it's very, uh it's hard to not control, because I usually control my, what I spent a long time controlling my lifting regiment based on like how I feel, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. I think that's also kind of a bad thing because you're
Yeah.
not, a lot of times, especially when you wake up first thing in the morning, you're not going to feel that good. And like shifting thing, I just, it was another mental, of like mental hurdle to get over, to like relinquish that control.
Yeah.
I think that was the main thing that's still kind of hard.
So what
Like
people, what
like
Richard,
during meets, like like when you're telling me to chill out, like I want to chill out by breaking your orbital bones.
mm,
Joking.
yeah,
By
you're like
wrestling,
fucking
by fighting
pacing
you,
back
I'm
and forth,
pacing and
and
sweating and
yeah,
burning
and
my
I'm like,
legs
Richard,
out.
just sit the fuck down, dude.
I'm taking
Relax.
pictures of other people,
Yeah. So what Richard's actually saying is when he wants to go in and do singles, he wants to be able to do that in
all for the rest of my life until my knees explode in
right.
3 days
Right.
instead of
I think
12s, you monster.
okay, so
But
you know
but
what?
but but that, and I'm sure we'll get there. But the recent, the combination of singles, fives, and 12s, although that was difficult, that was like some of the most like effective. And it's
Oh,
this training is very, very on point, especially the new. I like the, especially in terms of how it's the efficacy, but also in terms of like fun. Like
yeah.
the 12 suck, and I hate it. Like I think so. It's funny. I'll talk shit to you on camera, and then I have to edit it out because I'm like cursing or saying certain stuff. But I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's funny. People at the gym will see me scream your name into the camera and feel some kind of way about it, and it's very funny. Like I'll
Yeah.
like literally cuss at the camera like it's you. Like when
Yeah.
I barely finish a 12th rep and stumble into the rack.
So I'm seeing uh some people on the internet talk about how reps are not like they have no place in powerlifting. And like you didn't do singles for 4 weeks. I haven't done singles in 8 weeks. And I'm actually probably gonna push out for this next 4 weeks and not do it for 12. Um, I've noticed personally, and I don't know if you felt this yet, but like especially on like bench press, because I've been doing so much rep work, I can contract my triceps better at like the top of the movement. When I'm squatting, I can feel my muscles individually better. Same with deadlifts. Um, so, what do you say to the people that say rep work isn't important? Like, do you think the rep
When
work's
I hit 700 in sleeves and 800 in wraps, I'll give you a free autograph.
there you go.
How about that? Yeah,
Yeah,
for real. Like as a 30 set, I'm gonna be 37 shortly. As a 37-year-old ex drug addict with some, I mean, I think I have decent genetics, or else I
yeah,
wouldn't be at this point. But like with a pretty beat up frame,
yeah,
I've had reconstructive surgery on my right hand. I've had really I've had a really bad problems with my neck before, and like
yeah,
all those things. Once my training got on point, those things weren't really an issue anymore. I'm not saying like don't ever, I don't like the like idea of dying on your sword and training, like train through the pain and all that. That's stupid. But like uh good, I think there is a extreme healing factor to good on point strength training, from
yeah,
your skeleton to your nervous system. There is if you're doing it correctly, I think it will rejuvenate you,
yeah.
especially as like a low testosterone man, a
Yeah.
middle-aged man.
I think the thing that people just don't understand, right, is that strength is like we say it and people say it, but then they still do things outside of well, like they think they understand the concept, but they don't. Strength is an expression. So if you're
And it
doing
doesn't belong only in the weight room.
right, but if you're doing singles all the time in your programming, right? And you know that I've done that. Like we pretty much all prep. We last prep, we did singles pretty much every week,
Mhm.
right? But I think we're making substantially more progress forward this prep
So I
because
mean, just
we took them out.
just to put it into perspective, last prep around this time in sleeves. before we did the transition to wraps, I
Hmm.
hit one rep of 595 and then failed a second, and you had to
Yep.
pick me up out of the hole.
I
This
remember.
time I hit four
After.
after hitting a 640 PR in sleeves
Right.
that moved. Man, people really, side note, people really want to get. I love how when I don't have spotters, people crap on me for not having spotters. And when I do have spotters, they say the spotters did it for me. There is,
Yeah,
but that's another
that's
reason to uh, ignore the comments and keep the haters watching with your
yeah,
upload consistency.
yeah. But back to my point, I think we could have accomplished more. My theory going
What? But
forward,
if we would have stripped them,
if we had waited for singles further out like the last time, we would have gone into prep and maybe had another like 10, 15 pounds on every lift. And we're starting your I still started your singles a little further out than I'd like. However, caveat, I know that you kind of like having them in and
yes.
it just scratches the itch. But had we did 4 weeks with we did a lot. We did uh, crap ton more than 4 weeks because you basically hadn't hit any singles all the way up until this block.
Yes, which I was worried about. And the very first series of singles had me a little bit in my head about how strong I was, but
Yeah.
it was just acclimating CNS. And
Right. And that
obviously,
and
where we're at right now is all those
again,
thoughts are were I don't have those thoughts anymore. It
right, it's a skill. It's
yeah.
expression of strength is a skill. So the reality is that we could have pushed it for a long time, and it's only going to take you about 6 weeks to acclimate back to the singles, which in theory tells me by the time we get to the end of this block, because you already hit a squat PR, we're probably going to hit a deadlift and a bench PR by the end of this block. And then it's just maintaining that strength and getting it to all express on the day.
I'll point something out that you called on the nose that I was a little bit apprehensive about was when you said last training I need you to hit 675 to 680 and then 700 will be there on game day. And in my
Yeah,
head I was like what are you talking about?
yeah,
But what
and it
happened?
did,
What
and
happened?
yeah, you
Yeah,
had
I had a
more.
fluke. Yeah, I had
Yeah,
more. I had a fluke back step. I
yeah,
still counted as a 705
yeah,
gym
but you
lift.
did, yeah,
Uh,
and so you
yeah,
took 683 the last
that's
no no
exactly.
670
I
was
think it was
it
either 678 or 683.
it was 678 because 683 was a PR which you hit for your second attempt.
Yes, that was my second attempt. Yeah, yep, yep, yep.
So we had a PR on the second attempt, anyways, and then you hit 705, which you smoked.
It
You
was
had
crazy.
you probably had another 5 keys, maybe even 10 keys. So
710,
another
712.
yeah, and which is what? What is that? Fucking 30 to 40 pounds. Yeah, people got to learn to trust the process, and I just think that you can do a lot more bodybuilding and rep work, um, hypertrophy work,
And it's
conditioning
also,
work.
I mean, I can even see on camera, like
Yeah,
just in terms of confidence and aesthetics, you
yeah,
can blend your strength training and get some hypertrophy and put a little bit of mass on and like the way that you look. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
I think people forget that you're still allowed to be strong when you do your 12s, 10s, and 8s. I think people don't like doing them because it's like me, like for this last squat session, I did 495 for five because I'm injured right now, right? Fighting through that. Which is a bigger squat, right? Like no one in my gym squats 500 pounds for a single, let alone reps.
Yeah.
And then I'm backing down to 370 for sets of 8. And the week before that was 365 for 12s. But that's the thing is like if I have forward progress on my 12s and forward progress on my 10s and my 8s, would would it not be realistic to think that my single rep is also going up?
Yeah. It's just about getting your that CNS load acclimated to because
Acclimated.
that's the thing I've noticed with the heavier stuff is it's
Mhm.
more a nervous system thing and getting especially with deadlift and squat especially because the way I feel like it compresses down on you. There's
Yeah.
no man, there's no feeling like a heavy squat though. That's why it's my
No.
favorite lift. Like it is
So
a
we got 10 minutes, 9 minutes and 45 seconds because I'm not on the pro. I don't pay for the pro plan.
oh heard.
Yeah, but
Uh Go ahead.
I was gonna say I want to figure out. I wanted to have a good question to like end off on. Um,
Um
but I don't have
I
anything on the
will
pro.
just real quick I will say that it's not like so my up the one things that are starting to become very possible that are crazy is I think in the near future 750 squat and wraps
Yeah.
between 660
Mhm.
deadlift and maybe not 700 at the meet, but closing in on a 700 deadlift in the gym in the next
Mhm.
like 6 months. And
Right.
then even though bench is moving a little bit slower, but that's more of a physiological me thing. And also that's another thing is that especially when you're becoming uh, a more advanced power lifter, I do not think you are going to have three lifts skyrocket in progress. I think you can have one or two that go well, and you can have a third that is not falling behind and still making decent progress. But it's like a very big give and take. Like it
Yeah.
is the ebb and flow. And I feel like a lot of it has to do with nutrition, and nutrition can always get better.
Always recovery,
That
nutrition and
and
sleep.
sleep,
Yeah,
which is
which you're at a disadvantage for, unfortunately, but you do what you can. All right, so I do have
please.
what we'll end off on is I want to hear what your goal is for this meet. Don't think about what I've told you because I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen. Um, and we'll refer back to this when we get to the meet. But I want to know what does Richard want come meet day? Squat, bench, and deadlift.
I would like to hit 725 squat.
Okay.
I would like to hit 390 bench, and I
Mhm.
would like to hit a 650 to 660 deadlift to get what is that mid to upper 1700 total, and
Okay.
then kick my dots up from 455 to like 465 ish, 470.
I think as long as prep all goes well, I see mid 730s, like whatever that top kilo 730 number is. I see that happening. I see you taking 402 on bench. I think that's a possible because you got to remember what did you bench this last meet? 380?
378 and pretty it looked
Yeah,
pretty good.
yeah. So I like because bench did not go, it didn't really go well the entire last prep.
Mhm.
And you
Mhm.
still came out with
With a
a
huge PR, with
yeah.
a
So
lifetime PR on the
and that
platform.
and that happened your meet before that I was also coaching you for. So I think bench is just notoriously going to suck through prep,
Yeah,
and on the meet day you do good on a meet day. And then deadlift, I honestly truly think that you're going to pull 700. I those are big goals and expectations, but I actually think that you're in a very good spot. Like you've done a really good job keeping yourself tame, and you've done all the rep work up until this point.
I've only had a couple of times where I've broken programming.
Yeah, but I don't. I foresee that happening. So I think
I think that's because I'm trying to be a little bit more on the conservative, realistic side. I think
yeah,
that's I think I can hit 1800, but I think the meet's got to go perfect. So I
yeah,
just want to have very realistic expectations because it is also it's starting to get fun. Like
yeah,
and as I do want like as I make a name for myself, as I keep pushing content and stuff, I will and end up it may not be fun and that lucrative, but I will do this full time for a few years coming up soon.
yeah. All right. One last thing. Why don't you give the people of the Instagram, the delinquency Instagram, give them some wise words of encouragement.
Um
Let's see what you got.
wise words of encouragement.
Or
Don't
just like
I don't know
talk
if you're
shit.
if you're no if you're sensitive, uh don't let bad workouts bug your brain out and screw your whole week up. I used to be so bad about that. Like you're the whole there is some logic. Some of the people use cope and all that crap, but like to say that you're gonna be between like 80 and like 100% of what you're actually capable of based day to day, especially if you're any like mid 20s and older, you work, you have a kid, you got little sleep stuff, like don't let your daily progress interrupt your like weekly and monthly progress if you have a bad day.
Yeah.
And then also uh I on a crazy I'm really glad that uh uh Judge is out of surgery
Yeah.
and he has 40% of his arm so far, but
Yeah.
like I'm hoping I know he's going to be a very good example of perseverance.
Yeah.
And when I see him get back on the platform, it's going to be really, really, really badass and cool in an emotional way. But
Yeah.
yeah. And then also uh I've been hearing for 3 years that none of my lifts, especially my squat, will ever be white lighted on a platform. And now I'm going to go to regionals and I already qualify by 5 dots to go to nationals and I'll get the dog crap beat out of me on the national stage. But did you qualify? I
Right.
did
Exactly. Yeah.
with my terrible that's why I like that dude. There's a dude that goes by quarter squat Cam and he squatted 700 pounds in sleeves, two white lights to one red that I
Yeah.
know has been notoriously throughout his career been messed with for that, and he is
Yeah.
on the national level as a tested athlete too. So
Hey,
embrace that stuff and then use it to prove your haters wrong, because
there
there's
you go.
nothing a hater hates more than watching you succeed, especially for long periods of time.
All right. Well, that's what we got for today. So I think we might just start meeting up and shooting
Yeah, we
shit.
should try that. This would be a good way to do like weekly updates
Yeah.
or like
I think we
whatever.
do that.
Yeah,
Like overview training for the week.
for real.
All right. Cool, man. Well, it was good talking to you.
I'm glad
I'm
we
going to
did this
go
for real.
get my mane shaven off.
I'll have to get there too. Check this out.
Oh,
Oh
boy.
yeah.
There we go. Must be all that testosterone, baby.
Yeah, it's all the horse meat I've been eating.